It's me. Today we're exploring the history of UFOs. The earliest UFO sighting on record is from the year 03 BCE. It comes to us courtesy of Roman statesman and philosopher Pliny the Younger, who in a letter to his friend and fellow Roman senator, Pomponianus, describes an encounter with an object that sounds eerily similar to modern UFO sightings. Pliny was writing about a circular object that moved through the air without flapping wings or propellers, which at the time was not something that was possible. What he saw was either a disc-shaped object that flew silently overhead or, according to Pliny's interpretation, a ball of fire that descended from the sky before disappearing underground. This isn't the first instance of what could be interpreted as a UFO sighting. However, cave paintings that date back to 15,000 years ago seem to depict strange flying machines. Though obviously this is open to interpretation. There's also the Nazca lines. These geoglyphs are nearly 1,500 years old and feature various designs etched into the desert sands. Some of the figures look like they could be humanoid in shape, while others look more like animals. But some depictions appear to show aircraft, including one that seems to show a helicopter. And then there's the Baghdad Battery, an artifact discovered in 1936 by an Iraqi museum curator. It was found alongside Parthian era coins dating between the years 247 BCE and 224 CE. The artifact itself is a clay jar with a copper tube and iron rod sealed inside, though it was originally thought to be a cosmetic container. Its contents and construction suggest that it may have been an early battery, capable of producing 1.5 volts of electricity. While there is no proof that it was used to power any kind of ancient aircraft, some have speculated that it may have. In fact, speculation of advanced ancient civilizations and their use of UFOs has grown significantly over the last few decades. Ancient astronaut theorists believe that extraterrestrials visited Earth in the distant past and interacted with humans. They point to structures such as Pumapunku and Sacsayhuaman in Peru as evidence of advanced technology being available to ancient cultures long before modern times. Of course, mainstream archaeologists and historians reject these claims. While the true origins of these sites remain unknown, there is no evidence suggesting they were built with the help of aliens. So it appears that throughout history, people have witnessed phenomena that they couldn't explain using the scientific knowledge available to them at the time. But it wasn't until the 20th century that the term UFO entered the public consciousness. On June 24, 1947, a businessman named Kenneth Arnold was flying his plane near Mount Rainier when he spotted 9 disc-shaped objects moving information across the sky. He described them as being around 50 feet in diameter and traveling at tremendous speeds. The objects skimmed over the water and seemed to move independently of each other. They appeared to be flying in a manner that defied the laws of aerodynamics as we understood them at the time. Arnold estimated that the objects were flying at between 60 and 70 miles per hour. If his calculations were correct, they were traveling at 3 to 4 times the speed of sound. It would be easy to dismiss Arnold's account as that of a delusional man, but his story was picked up by major newspapers around the country. Headlines blared from Oregon to New York, announcing that the United States had been invaded by flying discs. The general public was fascinated by the story and wanted to know more. This inevitably led to more reports of UFO sightings pouring in. Between June 1947 and December 1948, the United States would receive thousands of UFO sighting reports. Many of them came from credible witnesses, including military pilots and radar operators. Due to the sheer number of sightings, the U.S. military felt compelled to investigate. On July 2, 1947, just 8 days after Arnold's sighting, the U.S. Army Air Forces created Project Sign to catalog and investigate UFO sightings. After examining 500 cases, the project concluded that only 7% of them were potentially of extraterrestrial origin. The remainder were explained as airplanes, meteors, weather balloons, clouds, planets, stars, birds, drones, or simply unidentified. In 1948, Project Sign was succeeded by Project Blue Book. This initiative was created at the height of the Cold War and was tasked with collecting, analyzing, and classifying UFO sightings to determine whether or not there was a threat to national security. Like its predecessor, Project Blue Book found no conclusive evidence that extraterrestrials were visiting Earth. However, unlike Project Sign, it did manage to explain most of the UFO sightings reported during its tenure. Of the 12,000 UFO cases examined by Project Blue Book between 1952 and 1969, approximately 7,000 were identified as conventional aircraft, balloons, rockets, satellites, or known natural phenomena. Another 3,500 were ruled as misidentifications. This means that only 1,500 cases remained officially unidentified. One of the most famous UFO sightings investigated by Project Blue Book occurred on November 13, 1954, near the Air Force Base at Coney Island, Texas. An F-86 Sabre jet fighter was dispatched to intercept a suspected UFO after it was detected on radar, flying erratically around the base. The pilot of the jet fighter, Airman Jerry A. Lembren, claimed that what he saw was a giant, shiny, silver disc-shaped object that appeared to be hovering in the air. According to Lembren, the object was roughly the size of a football field and seemed to be able to move in any direction, without banking or losing altitude. When he approached it, the object began to descend slowly. Then it suddenly shot straight up into the air and vanished above the clouds, although the object was never recovered. Fuerza Area de los Estados Unidos determined that it likely wasn't extraterrestrial in origin. Instead, it was deemed to be an F-86 Sabre that had lost all of its markings and most of its paint due to high altitude. The Air Force even went so far as to claim that the pilot of the mystery plane had likely seen another aircraft approaching and had mistaken it for an enemy fighter. However, not all UFO sightings were met with such mundane explanations. In August of 1966, Captain Andrew Basiago, an American soldier stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, reported seeing a large green glowing disc-shaped object floating over the parade ground. He and several witnesses chased the object, which landed in a nearby lake. As they approached the scene, the men saw two humanoid figures exit the vehicle. According to Bosco, the beings were around 3 feet tall, weighed approximately 100 pounds, and had grayish-greenish tinted skin. They wore tight-fitting metallic suits with no markings on them. Their heads were small and almond-shaped and sat atop thin, long necks. The creatures carried what appeared to be a briefcase between them. When they noticed the soldiers approaching, the aliens dropped their briefcase and ran back to their ship, which then took off and disappeared into the clouds. Although the military initially brushed aside Bosco's report, the incident gained enough traction that the House Committee on Un-American Activities felt compelled to launch an investigation. The committee questioned Bosco and his witnesses and examined the physical evidence. But despite their efforts, they were unable to reach a conclusion. This case, like many others, remains unsolved. In total, Project Blue Book closed 1,050 for UFO cases without reaching a definitive explanation. Due to the lack of clear answers, conspiracy theories began to spread. Many believed that the government was hiding evidence of extraterrestrial life from the public and that UFOs were being suppressed. In 1969, Project Blue Book was canceled. Officially, it was due to a lack of funding. However, many believed that it was because the U.S. government was embarrassed by the hundreds of unresolved UFO cases. In recent years, the topic of UFOs has once again gained widespread attention. In June 2021, the New York Times published a report based on leaked footage taken by U.S. Navy pilots. The video shows fast-moving objects traveling through the sky with no visible means of propulsion. Despite the footage being over a decade old, the U.S. government didn't confirm its authenticity until 2020. The official explanation for the videos is that they are training footage, meant to familiarize pilots with potential airborne threats. However, Former officials claim that this is a cover story designed to hide the truth from the public. Today, there are renewed calls for the government to release previously classified UFO documents so that the public can finally learn the truth about extraterrestrial visitors and their potential contact with humans. However, regardless of whether or not the government is hiding evidence of aliens, one thing is for sure: UFO history is full of unanswered questions and intriguing possibilities. From Pliny the Younger's description of a silent flying object descending into the ground, to the leaked Navy footage of unidentified flying objects, there have been countless reports and sightings of strange phenomena in the sky that defy conventional explanation. What do you think? Are UFOs real? Have aliens visited our world? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to stay updated for more videos like these. See you next time.